You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. That music makes me happy. Good morning and hello, kids. Welcome to Season 3 and episode number 38 of the Not Quite Daily Beaver Morning Show. For those moments when you want to get your winter's day started off right with a nice big bowl of piping hot beaver grizzly goodness. Today, recording day is Monday, January 9th, 2023. Yes, we're already 9 days into this thing, and it is still an unseasonably warm green January here at the Beaver Lodge, with temperatures expected to get ever so slightly above zero for a few hours today. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And I am giddy with glee that you, my dearest, kindest, sweetest kits are joining me and Mr. Grizzly, of course, to start off what will be a glorious week, I promise. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Good morning, Nona. How are you doing, you beautiful thing? Good morning, Kitty Lane. Good morning, Kit Linda. Good morning, Kit Saucy. We love to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Well, let's take care of the most important thing. Saying hello to our friend, Mr. Grizzly. Good morning, sir, and how's your mental health today?
Good morning, Mr. Beaver. Mental health, I think, is good. I think.
Okay, let us know when you know.
Well, truth be told, like I'm in great spirits. I haven't slept well in the last couple of days, and I spent most of the weekend puttering around my apartment, taking care of small projects here and there, and getting lots of naps in because I'm not sleeping at night. So you nap during the day when, on the weekend you have the time to do it. But
right.
Mental health, literally, truthfully, honestly, if I'm being honest with myself and you and everybody watching or listening, it's a little all over the map lately. Time of the year, that post-Christmas blues, along with this bizarre winter weather that is really sort of zapping my energy because, as you well know, I'm a skier, and if I could ski every single day of my life, I absolutely would. And right now, skiing just not looking too good. Somebody says, "Oh, this place is open." I go, "Yeah, they have 3 runs, and they're all bunny hills." That's fine if I want to, sometimes I'll go out with somebody else who's not been skiing in a long time. The first run we'll do together. It'll be a bunny hill and, sort of warms the legs up a little bit. But if that's all there is for me, nope, I'd rather stay home because I've been skiing since 19. I'm really good at it. And that's not breaking my arm to pat myself on the back. I am. I'm really good at it. I love to do it more than just about anything. Almost. There's one other thing I like more. But
one, not 2?
Well, 2, I suppose. But anyway,
You're gonna hurt my feelings.
Well, maybe 3 other things I like as much. But anyway. Yeah, if I can't ski the way, if I can't challenge myself on the mountain, on the hill, it's not worth it to me. And right
Yep.
now, there's the conditions are not good, and I don't blame any of the resorts. It's Mother Nature's saying, now hang on a second, this climate crisis thing is real, and let me prove it to you. Here we are. So yeah, that aspect, along with the typical lack of daylight hours, and combine that with the post-Christmas letdown, along with my brain just doesn't always cooperate. The medication works wonders, but I mean it's not 100% effective. And
Right.
I had some times in the last few days where I was trying to muster up the energy to record do an ASMR live stream to help the folks who need it, and just I didn't have it. I didn't have it.
Mm.
I need, I've done a show in the past where I was in the middle of an anxiety attack, and I did it intentionally, but this one I didn't even have the energy, which is a depression thing, it just zaps your strength. I didn't have the energy to sit down in front of the computer. I mean, you and I had discussed possibly recording a flagship on the
Yep.
weekend, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do any music shows, nothing. I didn't have it. So I know that's a mental health thing. I know it's got to do with the depression and less with the anxiety, because I'd look at the computer, go, no, I don't have the energy, and I'd go lie down on the couch. So
Mm.
I'm a little wishy-washy in the mental health department right now. Hopefully it's, like many things in life, just temporary. Um, I'm sure I'll be fine in a few days. I'm not in a deep, dark state of darkness right now. I was on
Mhm.
Thursday evening,
Yeah.
and I woke up Friday feeling considerably better, but I'm not there. I'm not there right now. So that's currently my situation.
Mm-hmm. I hope it improves. As Kit Jen says, and good morning to you. Not gonna lie, it's been a shitty time for depression, anxiety, insomnia this past week. I've been hearing that a lot. And as Kit Nona says, I miss skiing. Haven't been able to ski since I was 34. So, this health thing with the back and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll not take the chance. However, I look great by the fireplace in my snow pants and ski boots. I'm sure you do. And Kit Jen also says, "Hi, kids go back to school today. I was so excited I woke up early." Every time I hear that, I keep on thinking of that Staples commercial. It's the most wonderful
Wonderful time
time of the
of the
year.
year.
They're going back.
I always kind of watch that commercial, and my mother hates that commercial, eh? She
Oh,
hates it.
really?
Oh, yeah. She's like, really? You're rejoicing over the fact that you're losing your children for 8 hours a day? That's my mom. She loves her
Hmm.
kids,
Yep, yep,
loves
yep.
her children. So, and like literally, she hates that commercial. She's like, that's terrible to celebrate the fact that your children won't be with you all day long.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
love
mom.
I love the kids in that commercial. They have like completely unimpressed face,
And the
the
father's
parents are
just
writing the
dancing. He's
shopping carts. Whee!
tossing stuff in gloriously. Yeah.
Uh, for me, oddly enough, it's been the opposite. I'm normally the chronic insomniac. I've been sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. Friday, I know there were some kids that were hoping that I might show up on the Casual Fridays from our dear
Yeah.
friend
You, yeah.
James on the Blackballed.
James is
And
like, "Where's Douglas? Where's Douglas?" I'm like, "Send him a message. I don't know. I haven't heard from him."
yep,
Of course,
you
I
sent
sent
me
you
a
a
message
message at
at
like
9:30.
9:25,
Yep,
9:30. Yeah,
I was in bed already. I
there
was
you
in bed.
go.
My glorious life, Friday night,
Friday night, let's party.
9 p.m. I'm in bed.
I'm in bed at
It's
9:30.
well, no, I was looking forward to it, actually. I was at the kitchen table around, like, 8:30 and something like that. Okay, the show's starting at 9, it's gonna be
Yeah,
fun. And I was like, "Okay, the show's starting at" just hammering nails with my forehead.
it,
Uh,
it,
so my
it makes
Beaver
you
sweetie
wonder
just
though. Well, I was going to say, it makes you wonder if you had been able to stay up till like 9:40 and just said, "Okay, I'll just jump on for 5 minutes to see how everybody's doing."
I would have gotten energy in second wind.
There you go. You're much like me. You get your energy from other people, right?
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
it would have energized you. But if your body's telling you go lie down, you should listen to it. And the
Well,
older
my
we
Beaver
get, the more important it is to listen to that.
yeah, well, and I always say that, but my Beaver sweetie actually, like, got up from his desk, picked me up by the arm like this,
Dragged you?
brought me to bed, tucked me in, and it's like, but there's the show. And he's just like tucking me in. Then he gives me some cuddles, and then if you give me cuddles, then I'm done for, right? I just go to La La Land. It's my happy spot, right? He wherever his arm, I'm not gonna sound mushy, but his in his arms is my favorite place to be. So when he cuddles me, I just feel all safe, and I just doze off. But I went to bed. I was in bed by 9:30. I don't actually remember falling asleep, so I probably conked out very quickly and got out of bed the next morning at 10.
Oh, yeah. Saturday, I slept until 9. Sunday, I slept until 8:45. I get up at 5 every day.
I get maximum like 5.5 hours every night, like this, and like that's 13 hours,
Yeah,
almost
that's
12 hours. And then the next day, not as early, went to bed later, but again, like a full 8. And then last night was a little shorter. Last night it was around 1:30, I think, when I went to bed. But again, just conked right out and slept all the way through, which
that's
is
your
very
body.
rare for me. So I
Your
am like,
body's telling you.
yeah, but I'm abnormally rested, like probably the most rested I've been in the last 5 years. Abnormally rested.
Well, that should be interesting then. So you're the Energizer Bunny this morning, are you?
Yeah, I think there was a little thing there. Douglas is a little too giddy this morning or something. I saw it somewhere here on the chat. Is way too excited this morning. Yes, 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 because it is a good morning. Um, some headline stuff. We're gonna. How much time do we have today, Miss Grizzly?
I'm working from home today, so we got a fair bit. Can I start off with something really light and
Yes,
possibly? Well, I'll start off with something light.
sure, sure.
This is a possible joyous thing, but this is not the first time we've heard this, and
Okay.
the wording in this statement is weird. I'll just put this right on the screen. Oh, let me just take that caption. Whoops, I'm going to take that down.
Yes, again.
The potential annexation of the Turks and Caicos Islands by Canada is a recurring proposal on the future political status of the islands currently under the sovereignty of the United Kingdom. The idea has occasionally been discussed at both the federal and provincial levels in Canada. The wording of annexation?
No.
No. They want to join Canada. That's not annexing. Annexing is when you go in, take it over, and say, "You're mine now."
Yeah.
It's like,
This is like Newfoundland.
yeah, we didn't annex Newfoundland. Newfoundland decided to join Confederation. So strange that they would word it in that manner. This is from 604 Now, which is a Vancouver, I guess, publication. I couldn't get everything into the image you can see 604 Now in the top right-hand corner. It's from their Twitter page. Turks and Caicos Islands wants to join Canada and become the country's 11th province. We've been discussing this since Brian Mulroney was Prime Minister, so this is not new. It comes up every few years, and I always question about the timing of when it comes up. It's like, interesting. It's January, post-Christmas. We're all feeling like we could use a little bit of warmth and sunshine. Not that it's been a particularly cold, snowy, blizzardy winter in this part of Canada anyway. So makes one wonder. And look, I know that our friends out in Alberta are going, you're not the center of the universe. No, that's Toronto. I'm in Ottawa. But there are between Quebec and Ontario. And let's just show you how quickly our country is growing. This is from Friday morning. 39,394,059. Ontario, 15,307,000, and Quebec, 8,700,000. So 24 million people roughly between Ontario and Quebec, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me just share this screen here. This is the live shot. So 39,398,000. So from Friday to today, we've grown by 4,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So Canada will be hitting the 4,000 people since Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be at 40 million people before the end of the year.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this Turks and Caicos thing. It actually started way back in 1917 when Canadian Prime Minister Robert Borden first raised the idea of Canada taking over responsibility for of the islands from the United Kingdom. The idea was raised at the Imperial Conference of that year, only to be shot down by UK Prime Minister David Lloyd George, a known supporter of strong shipping ports for his home country. Um, I guess they call it. I'm looking on Wikipedia here, and it says proposed Canadian annexation of the Turks and Caicos. So I'm guessing it doesn't really annexation is technically, I guess, a neutral term, but it's always been done, and it's mostly always been done in a bad way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it says
okay.
right here,
So,
the other term here is notion of transferring sovereignty over the territory from one nation to another, which is what sounds more what it would be like. But yeah, it's listed in the articles even as an annexation.
so it
So I'm
is
guessing
correct. Okay. See, I just learned something today. I guess it's
uh,
because the word annexation has always been used in, like you say, not a friendly manner.
no, unwilling
Unwilling.
annexation.
It's
Um,
when Putler annexed Crimea, right?
yes, yeah.
That was not a willing. That was not. No, they didn't want any part of that. So I guess it is the right term. Well, look at me. I stand corrected. I feel silly. I have egg on my face. I need to get some more coffee.
I have I have half a portion of that egg myself. Kit Saucy S says also, but why? What's the connection to these islands? The only thing I can think of is that they're both uh, we're both members of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think we have any specific, um, connection other than people from the Turks of Caicos that have come to live here and that type of stuff. But that's about it. So yeah, I mean, it would be kind of cool to have a warm place that we can go where we wouldn't have to change our dollar.
Oh,
But
oh, that's
but
not
the
the
idea,
case though.
well,
The
it's not
n-
necessarily the case, but
well, no, no, no. It's because Turks and Caicos uses the U.S. dollar, even though it's part of the Commonwealth,
well, there you
and
go.
they would continue to use the U.S. dollar.
Well,
It's also hyper expensive for Canadians to travel there. So if
yes.
you're thinking, let's go for a tropical vacation to another part of Canada where you're not going to save a thing. Nothing. Zero. It is going to cost you $9,000 for a week with a spouse.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. The annexation movement reemerged in the 1970s, apparently, but kind of went nowhere. In 1974, Private Members Bill was introduced in the Parliament to explore formal association between Canada and the Turks and Caicos. The bill, entitled An Act Respecting a Proposed Association Between Canada and the Caribbean, Turks and Caicos Islands, did not have the support of the government at the time. So there you go. Following the independence of its neighboring British possessions, the Turk and Caicos received their own territorial governor as well as responsible self-government. In 1976, after the first election of this new framework, pro-independence People's Democratic Movement won a majority of seats in the country's House of Assembly. And after that, they prepared the islands for autonomy from the United Kingdom, which included a successful petition for a constitution for the islands, expanding islander rights and further enhancing self government. So that happened. And then during the 80s, apparently, was the height of the political support for that. And one of the proposals to renew the efforts to form some type of political unity. Um, Members of the territory's legislature actually met with members of both houses in the Canadian Parliament to discuss the advantages of the islands would receive by associating closely with Canada. So there was even talks at some point.
Mm-hmm.
On the 10th of March 1987, Liberal Senator and former Cabinet Minister Hazen Argue tabled a motion calling for both nations to explore the desirability and advantages of the Turks and Caicos Islands becoming a part of Canada. Uh, and they talked about a lot of things. They talked about utilization of the Canadian dollar even at that time. So yeah.
It's possible. It could happen. It'd be nice if it did. I mean, I think it'd be cool. But like right now, we share a land border with a European nation, that is Denmark, right?
Mhm. Yes,
Because
Hans
that
Island.
island, right?
Yep.
Thank you. So shouldn't that make us part of the European Union? So
Well,
here's what I'm thinking is like, I mean,
we are the only G7 nation to have a free trade deal with every other G7 nation.
so let's hook us up with a European discount. I don't know. It's like when I've been to Europe many times, and I have every intention of going back again next year to visit some friends. But we don't have really an issue when it comes to traveling throughout the European Union. As Canadians, we just show our passport and we're good to go. They're
Right.
thankful to have us, and thanks for your money, and we appreciate you. But it'd be great if we got some sort of little perk with the fact that we now share a land border with a European nation.
Yep. Yep. And not a land border, but still close to France as well, with the islands of Saint Pierre and Miquelon out
Saint
in.
Pierre and Miquelon. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Not a
Yep.
land border, but within our waters.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. So yeah, I've heard about that a lot. I don't know how that would go down. I mean, I wouldn't be sad if we did.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I'd
I
like
wouldn't be.
I'd like
I
to.
mean, if it was all willingly and stuff, I wouldn't be sad whatsoever. But yeah, it's it keeps on popping up every now and then, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
and usually around this time of the year, I find not every year, but every couple of years, it'll just pop up and go, "Hey, how's it going?" So, is it trying to distract us from the cold weather? Remember that Rick Mercer skit from a couple of years ago? What's the
Remind me.
weather? What's the weather next week? Oh, look, it's -22, minus. Oh, look, 10 days from now, +2. Hi, this is Environment Canada letting you know that we always put the +2 on the 10th day because we can't predict anything past 7 days. So we like to put the +2 in there just to lift your spirits at this terrible time of the year. Oh, look at what's the forecast next week? +2, +2. What are you going to do when it's +2? I think I might be able to leave the house.
I could finally go do groceries.
Yes. Think of all the things we can do. Yeah, it was a Rick Mercer skit. It was pretty good. If it, I'd put it on, but I think we'd get a copyright violation for that
Yeah.
one. But if anybody wants to look it up, feel free.
Well, since we were talking about skiing, why not start with some really, really good news? We have a skiing champion,
Oh,
my
do we?
good
Yeah.
friend. Yes. We were talking about Jack Crawford doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And on that weekend, he did well. There was a member of the women's team, Val Grenier, who had finished fifth in her race. Well,
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend in Kranjska she won
Oh
the
wow.
giant slalom race from the World Cup. So Valérie Grenier, she becomes the first Canadian woman to win a World Cup Alpine ski race in 7 years.
Oh wow.
The first grand giant slalom win for a Canadian woman since 1974. It's
Wow.
been a while. And she did this recovering from a broken tibia and fibula in 2019.
The
So she's
giant
back, baby.
slalom. The giant slalom is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
I watch them do those runs, and I'm like, I'm a great skier. Nope. Nope. I mean, they can hit over 100 kilometers an hour, sometimes 120. That's a little too fast for my 54-year-old knees to handle, right? I mean, and when you watch them race, they are quite literally on the edge of wiping out every single turn and jump. Like they
I
are
know.
literally right to the edge of the envelope, as the saying goes. They are skiing to their body's absolute ability. And you watch them take some corners, and you'll see their knees just, they call it chattering because of the way
Yeah.
they're bouncing along. If you hit some ice or whatever. I mean, it is flat out not for the faint of heart. You need to have you need to be really in tune with your body to literally finish the run. Just finish it from top to bottom without killing yourself, let alone doing it in a victorious time frame. It's
Hmm.
crazy, man.
Yeah. And then I guess they had to make up for one that was canceled on a previous stop because they had another giant slalom race later last week, and she finished sixth in that one. So overall, she is now ranked seventh in the world in
Oh
giant
wow,
slalom.
wow, good for her.
And 19th in the world overall for the World Cup Crystal Globe. And that's all, like when you put all four categories combined, downhill, slalom, giant slalom, and super G.
Mm-hmm.
She only races giant slalom, so she's a technical specialist. And from her 7th rank in giant slalom, that puts her 19th on the overall World Cup standings.
Oh, way to go.
Yeah, which just like means she's going to get better start to when you're in the top 20, top 30 in the World Cup, you get better start
Oh,
position
yeah.
for the
Yeah.
races, which improves your ability to do well, of course. So that happened for her, which was a really, really, really big deal. People have been celebrating that like crazy, especially if they're, because we have good skiers, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're not Switzerland or Austria, right?
Nope. No, we are not.
Yeah. And over the course of the weekend, there's been lots of other good stuff that our Canadians have done. Um, in Adelbolden and the Giant Slalom, we had two more top 20 finishes for our men. Eric Reed and Trevor Philp finished 15th and 17th. And then in cross country skiing, some actually really good results, because whenever you look at the results from cross country skiing, there's always like something like 120 people involved in the race, right? Or
Right.
something. So just finishing in the top half is pretty good. Well, at Val di Fiemme, in the Mass Start Classic, oh, darn, I can't remember her first name now off the top of my head. But her last name is Stewart Jones. Her first name starts with K. I'm thinking Catherine, but I could be wrong there. No, I'm right. Catherine Stewart Jones finished in 10th place in her race over there. So that's a pretty great result in cross country ski top 10 finishes. We don't get that very much. And then the men, Antoine Cyr did the same thing at Val di Fiemme. He finished fourth
Mm.
in the Mass Start Classic. And then I guess he was having a pretty good week because later on he finished sixth in the Sprint Classic to go along with that. Eric Reed in downhill skiing got another top 20, 14 at 14th place at Garmisch-Partenkirchen in the slalom. Uh, just really, really good results from our winter athletes. Lots to be proud of over here. And let's see what else happened. Oh, and then Catherine Stewart Jones then got an 18th in the mass start. So she had a really good weekend, a 10th and an 18th,
Wow.
which is huge. And then in tennis, because my beloved, beloved tennis, Leila Annie Fernandez made the final of the doubles in Auckland, New Zealand. It's a warm up for the Australian Open.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
she lost 10-4 in the third set. The third set is they play two sets and then they play a decider to 10 points. So they lost 10-4 in the tie break. But she was playing with Bethany Matek Sands. Again, if you don't know her, that's fine. She's a double specialist, but she's an American, and she's had quite a storied career. Let's put it that way. But I believe, she has been number one in the world doubles player, or number
Mm.
two, three, top three, in the past, and often. She had a spectacular injury at one point, and came back. So if this is a duo for the year, uh, they might be going places, because this is the first time they've played together and they've made a
Okay.
final.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and then of course, the qualifications for the Australian Open have started. I'm very, very excited because I love me tennis, especially my
When
tennis down under.
when's the AO begin?
My guess would be next week.
Okay, because I keep seeing ads during the World Cup, World Juniors, and the ads were. It didn't say Australian Open. It just had the A and the O, and the A did not have the cross beam in it.
Right.
And I'm like, isn't that reminiscent of a Netflix series called the AO? I think
Ah.
they're piggyback marketing. Could
Mm-hmm.
just me, just saying. I could be
Yep.
wrong. I
Right.
often am, but
Yeah.
yeah, thought it was interesting.
Mm-hmm. So for the women, Eugenie Bouchard and Catherine Sebov, who we talked about a few weeks ago because she won a warm-up tournament in New Zealand,
Hmm.
are both in the qualifying rounds. And for the men, we have Alexis Garneau and Gabriel Diallo, who were part of the Davis Cup team, who
Okay.
won. So they're on and I think for Sebov, Galarno, and Diallo, it's the first time that they've gotten the direct entry into the qualification draw for a Grand Slam. So again, not only do we have some great tennis players already well ranked, but our up and comers seem to be getting shots for tournaments that they didn't get to in the past because their ranking wasn't high enough, which is a testament to their progress. So there'll be lots to cheer for in both the qualification rounds and in the main draw. Of course, in the main draw, we got some news that that Naomi Osaka, who won it twice, is not going to play, and Carlos Alcaraz on the men's side, who's the youngest world number one ranked, is also not going to be playing due to an injury.
Mm, mm.
So that might make the
What,
events a little less exciting.
was was Naomi out? Is it a mental health issue, or
I
does
wasn't
it
able to
say?
read up on why yesterday, just catching up on the news this morning
Oh, okay.
before coming in. I heard that she had withdrawn, and there's some talk that maybe Emma Raducanu might not be able to as well because she injured herself in a pre-tournament as well. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so she's still. It hasn't been confirmed whether or not she'll participate, but there's still a question mark there.
So we talk NFL for a second or two.
Sure, let's do that.
Buffalo Bills victorious yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Two kickoff returns for touchdowns. To see one in a game is pretty rare. To see two in the same game is almost unheard of in
Mm-hmm.
either NFL or CFL, for that matter. They did it twice, and it was a good game. I watched it from start to finish, and of course, a lot of emotions for the Bills, considering they had a player die on the field on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Not
victory
well,
was.
brought back, fortunately.
Yeah, well, he died twice, right?
Yes.
Don't worry, I was going to get there.
Okay.
Because he's recovering in hospital now, and he's doing quite well. He was able to watch the game yesterday, so I mean, an emotional journey for them for sure. But something Ray Ralph pointed out was that they're trying to market this as something, because he should, at the end of the game they showed the players from both teams in a big circle taking a knee, saying a prayer, and he goes, "Brotherhood, unity for Damar." I'm like, and Ray was like, "They do this at every game." I was like, "Hell, they do that at every CFL game." So the
Mm-hmm.
NFL is trying to market a tragedy, which is kind of disgusting when you think about it.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that they sold, how many millions of T-shirts with Damar's name on it, and how many how many jerseys with his name on it, and everybody had the number 3 stitched, and they had Damar written on it, every player on every team in the league. I'm like, the NFL is marketing off a tragedy. It's kind of disgusting when you think about it. Look, love me, hate me for this, I don't care, but wow,
Yeah.
the man died twice on the field. They revived him. He's in the hospital. He may never play again, and you have to understand that when his career ends, NFL players, when their career ends, they have 5 years of health insurance, and after that, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that should also be said that CFL players, because if you're Canadian and you live in Canada, or if you immigrate to Canada, because a lot of U.S. players do, you have healthcare coverage forever because, we have universal healthcare.
Right.
But for CFL players who, after they retire from the league and move back to the U.S., as some of them do, many of them do, they don't have healthcare coverage because they are living in a different country. They're not
Right.
paying taxes here, so why should they be entitled to that?
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's a sensible thing. So the CFLPA is looking at changing things to provide additional coverage, or some type of additional coverage, to players who were severely injured or had a career-ending injury and live in the U.S. So they're trying to figure out a way to do that, because this one player I was reading about yesterday in the Ottawa Citizen, I'm not giving them a plug, but that's why I read it. Former player for the Montreal Alouettes had a career-ending injury in Ottawa on the field. He's had multiple surgeries since then. He actually, the Alouettes paid for $80,000 worth of his recovery in the U.S., but after 1 year, that's it. There's nothing. You're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, I mean, are we going to be paying the health care coverage in the United States, which is the most expensive health care in the world,
Mm-hmm.
for somebody who doesn't live in Canada or
Right.
pay taxes here or contribute? You know what I mean? So it's a complex situation. It's like, do we just let people go? What do you do there? It's like, so what they're looking at doing is coming up with a type of workman's compensation. or workers' compensation, I should say, to cover it because of the fact that you were injured on the job in Canada. So you should have some type of coverage by your employer. How that's going to work out, I don't know. There's a lot of legal ramifications involved, but it's a unique story to sports and the healthcare system that we have in both nations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'm all for doing something like that. I mean, if you've doesn't matter how long you've been here, if you've come here to sort of, provide some entertainment and play a sport and whatnot, and you get injured in the course of doing that, injuries can last a lifetime. So
He's had multiple surgeries, this guy.
yeah.
And he was desperate he couldn't get work. His right arm atrophied because of the injuries that he suffered. It was vertebra in his neck. And as a result, he couldn't find work. So he got mixed up and, he did some drug dealing is what he did. And he served some time and he's clean and sober now, but he still doesn't have work. He's living with his mom and he'll never be the same. He's had multiple surgeries. And I think his last one was somewhere in the neighborhood of almost $300,000. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Complications,
Indeed.
right?
Yeah. 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 I can see that. About Damar Hamlin, I'm not an NFL watcher whatsoever. But
I'm a CFL guy.
yeah.
But I watched the NFL after the Grey Cup.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I saw the hit, and the hit didn't look
Nope.
specifically, like people are saying, like, oh no, I can't watch the hit. There's nothing about the hit itself that'll make
No.
you cringe.
Well,
It's
and
what
he made
happens
the
after.
tackle. Yeah, he made the tackle.
Yeah.
It was just the way the impact happened. But it's immediately he gets up and then takes 2 steps and then falls flat on his back. And that's hard to see. Oh, look at that. We got porn bots. Great.
Oh,
Wonderful. Awesome.
oh, that's early in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
A little premature. But so, but apparently his doctors say that he's making a pretty remarkable recovery. He was able to communicate in writing for the first few days because he still had the tube, and then they removed it and his throat was dry bit. Now apparently he is talking. It seems that his neurological function is intact, according to the doctors, which is good.
That's
And
very good.
apparently, in something that's both, how would I say, makes you smile in one way, but in another way horrifies you. Apparently, some of his first words in writing was, "Well, did we win the game,
Yes.
or who won the game?" Which is, you think like, wow, commitment to team, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the first thing he wonders about. And then the other part of me, the more cynical part of me goes, wow, he knew that the game probably would have continued despite that
Yeah.
happening to him, right? So,
Did
the
we
thought
win? Yeah.
the thought didn't occur to him that the game would have been stopped or suspended. So yeah, I guess your boss. And apparently the doctors told him, you did for pulling through.
Oh yeah. Did you? Yeah, you did. Yeah.
You won the game. So nice
That
touch.
makes sense.
Apparently, he had started a Toys for Tots sort of charity
Yeah, GoFundMe.
upon becoming signed, and people
He
have
tried to raise
donated to that.
2,500. He's up to what, 8 million now?
8 million, I believe. Yeah. And Kit Linda, you thought exactly what I had in my mind. Well, Mr. Grizzly was saying it. If they were decent people, a portion of those sales would go to his charity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they
Yeah.
would. In fact, all of the sales would go to his charity.
No, it's the
All
NFL
of
just
those
making
years.
NFL dollars is all it is. It's when they have their
The
the breast
shirts.
cancer
Yeah.
awareness month in October, and they wear a lot of players either wear a pink jersey or pink socks or pink gloves or something. It's all pink, pink, pink. 0.001% goes to breast cancer research. So it's legit, like they're legitimately donating a portion of the proceeds. 0.001%. It's just a big marketing ploy to sell more
Oh, crap.
shit.
Okay. Again, as a former spin doctor,
Mm-hmm.
that is like full on spin.
Oh yeah. I mean,
When you
they're
say
not lying.
portion,
They're not
yeah,
lying. But come on, really?
But that's like when if I would be writing an article, more than one people, no, 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 like this, and it's like two, or like people
Yeah, yeah,
say
yeah.
that this is a great movie.
Two
It's like
people said
people
it.
is two.
Yeah. Many people, three.
Right, right. Oh man, here, Mr. Grizzly, I found a photo of our wonderful champion. If you would like to share it, that's Val Grenier. Kids, get used to that face. Hopefully, we'll be seeing a lot more of it.
She
She
looks
said
so
it was
happy.
like a dream come true that she's been waiting for this her whole life, and that she can go cry.
Nice. Nice.
Oh man.
I need you to
Uh,
carry for about a minute while I get another cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see what else. And since we're talking about Canadians who have done us proud, um, Eric Reed, with his two top 20 finishes, also climbs to number 30th in the overall World Cup race for the Crystal Globe and the men. So Team 2 will get better bibs and start positions at the races, which will only help his season. So it's kind of interesting that people from the Canadian ski team are doing so well. We hope that it continues. Yes, Aussie, Paul's camera freaks me out too when it moves when he does. It's a
I
little
forgot
weird.
to I forgot to lock it because it's got head tracking, right? So if I move my head,
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
and I forgot to lock it, so it'll do that.
In other news, Come From Away, wonderful musical. If you ever had a chance to see it, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't, you've missed out. Please go to
It's
it when you
playing
have the
here in
chance.
town. It's playing here right now.
Yeah. It closed its run in London's West End after 1,048 performances. It's been running since 2019. A North American and an Australian tour are planned, and there's a production set to open in South Korea
Oh,
next November.
it ended its run last night. Actually, shit. I
Yep.
wanted to go and see it. I thought it was here for a few more days. Oh well.
Oh,
I've seen
in
the
Ottawa?
yeah at Southern Hall at the NAC. I've seen the stage play, like the Broadway version. It's
Okay,
on
yes.
Apple TV, I think, or one of those streaming services. I don't know. Um, it's really good. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Try and find a way to watch it. It's worth every split second. You'll probably shed a tear or two. It's particularly close to my heart because I used to live in Gander, so
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Like everything they talk about, I can relate to. I was there. I lived there for 3 years. So.
Mm-hmm, talking about more stuff, Canadians to make us proud. When we talked about the World Juniors, we talked about Connor Bedard, but we didn't talk about Dylan Gunter
Who dat?
because he's the one that scored the first goal that match and the golden goal in
Oh,
overtime. We spent so much time talking about Connor that we forgot to talk about the guy who won the match for us, along with the goaltender, of course, who did excellent work.
great job there. Yeah.
Um, It was our 20th World Junior Hockey Championship for men of all time, and the first time since 2009 that a nation won back-to-back titles. When that last happened, it was also Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that did it. Uh, the silver went, of course, to Czechia, and the bronze went to the United States in another wild match that ended up 8-7 in overtime.
Wow. I
Yeah,
didn't see that one.
yeah, and Chaz Lucius from the United States scored a hat trick, including the overtime winner, to secure the bronze for the U.S. In that match.
Cool.
So there you go. That's from the World Junior Hockey Championships, and one RIP to mention. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't, but a visual artist, photographer, filmmaker, and musician Michael Snow died at the age of 94. If you've
Don't know
ever
who that is.
gone to the Rogers Centre to watch the Toronto Blue Jays play, you might see those massive gold painted sculptures of fans cheering, known as the audience.
Oh, that's him.
That's him. He did that.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you've been at the Eaton Centre small, and you've seen an installation of life-size geese hanging from the ceiling.
Okay,
Yeah, that's called Flight Stop. It was a 1979 installation, and it was also him. He's also the person that did the Walking Women at Expo 67 in Montreal.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So he's been an active
Um,
fellow for a long time.
yeah. So
94.
there you go.
That's a good life. That's a good life.
Yeah, yeah. Good life to be remembered that way. So yes, died at the age of 94. And he was basically, pretty much a modern Renaissance man.
Mm-hmm.
Visual artist, photographer, filmmaker, musician. Just he was basically just very a creative soul.
Clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Shall we hit some news?
Yeah. Let's kick it off with this headline from. This is from the Week, which is a publication of the Week UK is what it's called, and this little headline I thought was rather fetching. Jordan B. Peterson, star psychologist or professor of Piffle. Canada's anti-snowflake crusader has acquired a cult following, but not everyone thinks he's a man of substance. Now, a few people do. The American social critic Camille Paglia describes him as the most important and influential Canadian thinker since Marshall McLuhan. I completely disagree. While U.S. economist Tyler Cowen believes the best-selling author is the most influential public intellectual in the Western world. Completely disagree. But fellow University of Toronto professor Ira Wells has written a scathing article entitled The Professor of Piffle, describing Peterson as a mere YouTube star rather than a credible intellectual. Canadian magazine Maclean's has labeled him as the stupid man, smart person. I've been saying that for years. He's very much a cult thing in every regard. I think he's a goof, which does not mean he's not dangerous. Maclean's columnist Tabitha Southey writes. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, first of all, I had to go look up piffle because that was a new word for me.
Oh, really?
Yes. So as a verb, it means to speak nonsense. As a noun, it means just nonsense. So the professor of nonsense.
I guess I took it for granted that everybody would know that word.
Nope.
I shouldn't assume. When I assume, I make an ass out of you and me.
I did not know what it meant. I agree with the stupid man, smart person, or the smart person, stupid man, or not quite.
It's the stupid man, smart person.
Yeah.
From Ira Wells. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
He's the dumb guy, smart guy, right?
Right, because he uses fancy words and technological terms, and wears a suit and has a degree, and well, it's like you said, right? You've among doctors and lawyers, you've noticed through your life experience.
Some of the dumbest people I've ever met.
Yeah. So educated and wisdom, not necessarily the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We just have to look at our own national Leslin, right? Doctor of laws. But it's like every time she opens her mouth, have you ever read a law book?
Like the dumbest. She's got to be the dumbest politician I've ever encountered, that at least in memory that I can think of, in Canadian politics. Canadian politics. We're not going to look south of the border because they've got lots of examples of that right now. Of course, well, she's the dumbest smart person I've ever encountered in politics.
Yeah. Kitland says, so the Americans thinks he's an intellectual. The thing is that he's playing the role of intellectual, right? Which is the whole problem, going on with this College of Psychologists ordeal. It's that because he's not making it clear what hat he's wearing when he's speaking, and because right on his Twitter feed, it says licensed psychologist, and people keep on bringing him on the show and saying, and licensed psychologist Jordan Peterson, and then they start talking about some things, and every now and then he throws some psychology mumbo jumbo in his things. But you might have seen that meme going around with him sort of televangelizing, which I guess is going to be his next grift, probably at what seems to be an orthodox religious establishment. And he's standing on some steps and he's delivering a sermon. To whom? I don't know. because there doesn't seem to be an audience there, but he's like looking down as if he's talking to people when you're watching it. Um, uh, you know, but that's the thing with this, right? Is there are lots of people that will uh, have the fancy words, but it's what you do with them, right? Like we said on the show the other day, it ain't what you do; it's the way that you do it.
Hmm.
You know, you want to help men mostly, because that's the other one of his tweets, right? 91% of people who watch my YouTubes are men. Why are all the women? Why not the women? Because you're misogynist.
Yeah.
Market for women who want to hear from a misogynist, it exists, but it's rather small. So the 91%, Mr. Intellectual, shouldn't be that much of a surprise to you. I mean, seriously. Right? I mean, this one's it's not a mystery there. You don't need the people from Scooby-Doo to come there with with the mystery van to
Well,
explain that one to you. Why it's only 9% of women. But yeah, that's that thing, right? It's you find someone who's somewhat relative, because it's about like covering every base, right? You want
mm,
you're people are looking for confirmation bias. So if it and the irony about this is, right, that this whole movement's about the rejection of experts, because but here we have this one expert, right?
one
And
expert.
right, and then of course, like, he'll find like the handful of other clinical psychologists who agree with him, and see, this psychologist agrees with me, so I can't be all wrong. But out of all the psychologists in the world, the 30 or 40 who agree with him, the many, you know many three, more than one, two, right? So it's but I mean, I guess you get your confirmation bias where you can get it, I guess. I mean, it's all about it's just amazing to me how many people are willing to um, put all their stock into him, because he's saying what they want to hear, what they already believe, but with $30 words.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
That's
He's
that's
just a sad, pathetic individual who needs serious psychological help.
he's the lipstick on the pig,
Oh yeah, definitely.
basically, right? Um, so yeah. Now, in all fairness, in my and it kind of pains me to say this, um, I might have been slightly rough on him during our last show.
Yeah.
No, only by virtue of the fact that um, I had doubts that he was going to put any of that stuff out. Right? We made the thing. Oh, I can't confidentially. Ooh, my hands are tied. And of course, he did put some of the stuff out. So, he did put out the tweets that he said, were the issue. Now, did he put out all of them? We don't know, but he did put out some. But of course, the thing is right, when he's saying, "Well, all I did was text Jerry Butts," well, or tweet Jerry Butts, retweet him. Well, you didn't just retweet him; you called him a prick,
Yeah.
right? it's, it just reminds me, like, on the schoolyard, it's like, he hit me, and then my mom going, "What did you do?" Well, he started, but what did you do? But he said, "What did you do?" Well, I called him a duty head.
That might have something to do with
So
it.
you
Yeah.
contributed, didn't you? Right? It wasn't all the other guy. So, yeah, you got that kind of thing
There's that
going on,
fifty
right?
fifty
It's like,
split, right?
I got arrested for taking this picture.
No, 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 you didn't.
No,
That's not why you were arrested.
it's what you did before. So yeah, so I mean, he is showing the stuff. It's the framing. So with him, it's the framing. I still haven't seen his letter of refusal, uh, uh, and but it's the framing, right? It's not media retraining; it's media re-education. I'm being sent to this retraining for only for having retweeted Pierre and tweeting the prime minister. Well, no, it's what you said when you did that.
Well,
These people that I wasn't even treating, are the ones who complained. Well, we went through that one already. Like this. It's
the narrative
the
that's
problem is
being
that you're trading on your license and your title.
the narrative that's being framed by publications such as the National Post, as an example, along with the Toronto Sun, as an example, along with actually every right wing bullshit media. I'm trying to calm down. Publication, propaganda wing of the Conservative Party of Canada and the Republicans in the United States, on the other hand, because this is really who owns all this shit. Their conservative hedge fund ownership, Chatham Asset Management, which is 60% owner of the National Post, which is a right-wing
Yep.
evangelical hedge fund, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they're trying to paint the narrative that he's lost his freedom of speech, which I continue to point out to every single politician that reiterates and retweets Skippy the Wonder Pigeon's defense of Jordan B. Peterson, is that we don't have freedom of speech in Canada. It is not a protected right. We have freedom of expression. So at least get that part right, please. And his freedom of expression has not been infringed upon in any way, shape, or form. He is in violation of the code of conduct of the licensing body of the Clinical Psychology College of the province of Ontario. When you are in violation of your licensing body's code of conduct, you will be either censured or retrained for it. And this is what he's done. And he's trying to frame it as, I'm a political, no, it's the word I'm looking for, not prisoner, but I'm suddenly being politically silenced and censured by Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau has nothing to do with this. Nothing. Nothing. And it pisses me off that the media is regurgitating his bullshit lies, because it's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, see, the problem is, right, it's not that he has it's not that his freedom of expression is being curtailed. Right?
It's not.
It's his freedom to express these opinions while marketing himself as a licensed clinical psychologist.
And
Right?
here's
That's
what
the thing. It's stop trading on your license to give these bullshit things that you are saying credibility is
here's
the
what
problem.
and if you notice what I put across the bottom of the Chinaman, the
Yeah.
PJ, he literally offered suicide as a solution.
Yes, he
That's
did.
the tweet he's in trouble for, and that is true. And also, Linda's pointing out that he's trying to bait Trudeau, but Trudeau's too smart to fall for it. He's not a dum-dum when it comes to this.
No. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. And
There's
as
nothing there.
Kid PJ said, that's one hell of a lipstick color. Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My freedom
It is not bringing out the blue in your eyes, darling. Let's put it that way.
Well, you gave us that little hint of the clip from Skippy on Friday morning. So after the show ended, I watched it, and then I saw
Yeah.
it regurgitated hundreds of times on Twitter over the weekend. And I responded to a bunch of them with, none of this is true. His freedom of speech is not a thing. Freedom of expression has not been infringed upon. And we go into detail. Then I'd put a YouTube clip of where you began to really eviscerate him.
Where I did?
Yeah.
Oh,
On Friday's
I didn't
show,
see that at all.
oh yeah, because the clip starts at like the 33 and a half minutes into the show, where you really get into, look, this is what he's in trouble for, and this is why.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that at all. But
Well,
I
you'd
didn't
have to
see
go
that
follow.
put
If
that
you
up.
follow my tweets and replies on my timeline, you'll find it there somewhere, I'm sure. I did it
Okay.
a few times on the weekend.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So it's the framing here. That's the part, like if he was Jordan Peterson, private citizen, there wouldn't be
Completely
any
fine.
problem. He'd be saying this till the cows come home. He would be using his freedom of expression to say stupid shit. We would be using our freedom of expression equally to tell him you're saying you're stupid. You're saying stupid shit. Because he would get pissy just like he does. He would play victim just like he does. And he would sell books just like he does. Right. The problem is that he is marketing himself as a licensed clinical psychologist, and he's using that as the shield to hide behind, and also as the platform from which he's jumping off to give additional credibility to his words. And of course, the people that are the whole sort of fluffing confirmation bias industry is like, okay, well, here's an intellectual who's actually on our side because they hate intellectuals. So he happens to be on our side. So of course they rushed to make him a star.
Mhm.
right? And it's almost like the Jason Kenney effect in a way, right? It's like, oh yeah, here's a conservative who happens to be able to outreach, very well with people in ethnic communities and happens to speak French very well, like this, and he's very loud and says anti-liberal stuff. So let's make him a star. Meanwhile, that's what's going on the right hand, and meanwhile on the left hand, he's bungled every single ministerial portfolio you've ever given to him. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, well, how is this guy a star? He's completely incompetent. I mean, he's so incompetent that he needed to cheat to win a leadership to unite the right that he already had in the bag, and then got a majority and got booted by his own party with a majority in his first term. He was never a star.
Nope.
He was never a star, but only in that little pond. Somebody said big fish in a small pond. Only in that pond of conservatism, incestuous circle jerking, does he become a star.
One way to put it, for sure.
Because he's the loudest and has certain attributes that the others don't have, like an ability to speak in French, an ability to not immediately repel people who have a little bit of pigment in their DNA. So, but when you look at the accomplishments, I mean, I can't think of, like, other than uniting the right only to lose it. I guess in an over 20-year career, I can't think of one single political accomplishment that this man has to his credit.
He doesn't have any. None.
None. But he's a star. Just saying, they're very good at pumping up their own. They're very good at fluffing their own. So, and when there are so few intellectuals, number one, and then you get one that happens to be singing your song. On the left, we have an embarrassment of riches of intellectuals.
Do we need to spell out what fluffing up means? Actually,
I guess we could.
instead of doing that, why don't we just pose the question? Anybody in the chat, do you know what fluffing up means when we say that? Because I don't expect everybody to know what that means. I know what it means. You know what that means. I don't know if any of the viewers or listeners know what that means. And it's a specific term from a type of film work. When you get an actor ready for a scene,
Yes.
you fluff them up.
In films that used to be found behind the curtain at not at your local Blockbuster.
Now those films are readily available on your phone 24/7 if you so desire. Modern technology.
Yeah. So that's the issue at hand, right? It's the violations of the deontological code, right? It's a question of deontological ethics at this point with this guy. He got his license. Yes, it means she's the kind of holster Stephen Colbert once referred to Donald Trump as. Oh. He took a lot of flack for that one, actually.
Well,
I remember.
He did, but I was kind of like...
He wasn't wrong. Yeah, me too. My ass went, gee,
whoa.
Stephen. Damn, tell us how you really feel.
He was pissed off on that particular day.
Really pissed off. Oh, shit. I remember that one. Yeah. So yeah, that's the main crux of the issue. And like I said, I'm going to give him, because we believe in being fair, the little bit of credit that he has been posting things that I thought, skeptical, cynical me said, yeah, like, as if he's going to post that. And sure did. He posted. Now you have to remember that what he posted was the Jordan B. Peterson selection. Right? It's the president's choice of whatever he's received in communication from the College of Psychologists. And that I know of, the College of Psychologists itself has not released any of this stuff publicly itself. Everything is public because Jordan says. And most of these articles written in his favor are written because Jordan says. And how much work there has been done verifying what Jordan says is the question here. My guess would be not very much. He hasn't been very much available to take questions from the larger media outlets who have been calling him. Sussy goes, so not fluffing the beaver then. Oh,
Well, maybe that beaver, but
Yeah.
but no,
Yeah.
no.
Different kind of beaver.
Different kind of beaver. Yeah.
I remember I used to see that on a t-shirt when I was a kid. If you're Canadian, show me your beaver.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's just like, here I am. Can you imagine that? It's like, show me your beaver, and I pop out from under someone's skirt. Hello.
Did you ever see Jekyll and Hyde, the 70s version? Late
Uh,
70s, early 80s. Jekyll and Hyde, where Hyde was a sex fiend cocaine addict.
no.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's really vulgar, but it's really funny. And I'll leave it at that. You can find it online. I saw it many, many, many years ago. Looking at it now, I'm kind of like, yeah, it's not aged well, but many things from the 80s have not. Yes, Shelley, I have seen Teeth. Strange film. Very strange film. Seymour Butts. Yeah, somebody I know shot a film with him here in Ottawa a bunch of years ago. Somebody I used to know. James actually dated her at one point, apparently. So yeah. We're getting into weird stuff. Let's back off this.
Okay.
Tiffany
These are
Towers
references that
shot
are
a
going
film.
vroom.
Tiffany Towers shot a film here in Ottawa with Seymour Butts. Seymour Butts had a reality show. He was an adult film producer, director, performer, and yeah, he had a reality show on Showtime or one of them. Anyway,
Okay.
we'll leave it at that.
Kit Saucy says Lady Gaga had a song named Teeth. It's a great song. I agree.
Yeah,
I
it's not
love that song.
it's nothing to do with the film Teeth.
No, no, no. Google the movie Teeth. Okay, I will do that after. I will do that after the show, just in case.
It was on Netflix. I think it was 12 years ago or 13. Whenever Netflix came to Canada, it was on in the first year, and I watched it. And I read the synopsis, and I'm like, okay, I'll give this a watch. Okay, that was strange. Very strange.
Okay. All right.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay. In other news, um,
We're going to talk about Bolsonaro and his January 6th that he had. Well,
yeah, we could do that.
He didn't have it personally, but
Yeah, yeah. I guess we could do that. I was going to save that for another show, but yeah, we could do that.
Unless if there was something that you specifically wanted to dive into, sure.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. We can talk about that. I was just saving all my international stuff to get to collate it all together for when Percival was next in town, so that we could have him on.
Well, it's only because
yeah,
I did. It was pretty much in the headlines yesterday. Did you know that today is Jimmy Page's birthday? He turned 79 today. Yesterday would have been Elvis's birthday and David Bowie's birthday. Did you know they shared a birthday?
I did not know that.
Well, there you go. Now you've learned three new things. Jimmy Page on the 9th, Elvis and David Bowie on the 8th.
Yes. Oh, the David Bowie. I did know. I did hear that on the news the other day that it, yes, would have been his birthday. Yes. In Brazil, about last week, Luis Ignacio. Sorry, I've lost his name for some reason. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was sworn in as president of Brazil for an unprecedented third time. And upon his swearing in, he said, "Today, our message to Brazil is one of hope and reconstruction. The law, sovereignty, and development that this nation built since 1988 has been systematically demolished in recent years. It is to rebuild these national rights and values that will guide our efforts." And then, that went off without a hitch. And we thought, okay, we're in the clear. They didn't have their January 6th moment because there had been some protests after the court had decided that, did it go to court? I can't remember now off the top of my head. Because it had to go to, anyway, the victory was very, very slim. It was like about 2%. And we thought, okay, Bolsonaro said that he was going to participate in a peaceful transfer of power, and power was transferred peacefully from the government side. There were protests in the streets, but those seem to have died down. And then Bolsonaro decided to self-exile to Florida. sorry, I got hiccups. Self-exile to
Happens.
Florida. Now, I don't know if that's supposed to be a permanent move or a temporary move, but he went there, and he's not like 45 and decided not to attend the inauguration of his successor. So the inauguration took place, and then it seems that about a week after it, the right-wing nut jobs in Brazil decided to get themselves a slice of that January 6th most delicious chocolate cake you've ever seen. According to CNN, supporters of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro breached security barriers set up by the armed forces yesterday and gained access to the country's congressional building, the Supreme Court, and the Planalto presidential palace, according to images shown in Brazilian media. Police have arrested at least 400 people after the storming of government buildings. Now, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva was president before. Last time was about 12 years ago, and there were issues of corruption at the time, which led to him not being president anymore at the time. Lula said, "These people are everything that is abominable in politics to invade the government headquarters, the headquarters of Congress, and the headquarters of the Supreme Court like true vandals, destroying everything in their path." Now, former President Jair Bolsonaro, unlike Cult 45, denounced the action, tweeting that peaceful demonstrations respecting the law are part of democracy. However, depredations and invasions of public buildings, as occurred today, as well as those practiced by the left in 2013 and 2017, escaped the rule. I don't I'm not well versed enough to know what happened in 2013, 2017, and whether or not he's equating things that should not be equated here. So I'm pleading ignorance, but this is what he said in his tweet. Throughout my mandate, I have always been acting according to the Constitution, respecting and defending the laws, democracy, transparency, and our sacred freedom. Okay. While Bolsonaro did cooperate with the peaceful transfer of power, as we mentioned, he never conceded the election. And rather than attend the swearing of newly elected President da Silva, he ran off to Florida. Also, according to CNN, Brazilian federal public defender asked the country's Supreme Court to issue an arrest order for the Federal District Public Security Secretariat Anderson Torres and other public agents responsible for acts and omissions following the breach of Brazilian federal buildings on Sunday. Torres, who was the justice minister under former President Bolsonaro, was appointed to the federal district office by current Governor Ibanez Rocha, but was dismissed after Bolsonaro supporters entered the Congress, Supreme Court, and presidential palace buildings on Sunday. And the federal district is where Brasilia, the capital, is located. So that's about all I know and all I was able to take down at this point from the notes that I had before going to bed yesterday on that situation. So it seems that it took officials about 3 hours to get everything back under control. But there were things similar to January 6th, like somebody sitting in someone's seat and getting pictures taken, people in the buildings having vanity pictures taken,
They really did destroy the place. They flooded it. They smashed windows. They smashed furniture. They tossed furniture out. They stole artworks. They desecrated artworks. And so I watched the John Oliver Last Week Tonight special from September, just before the election, and how he talked about Bolsonaro will push for a January 6th if he doesn't get it. And one of the comments on the YouTube, I'm watching this one day after the elections. Lula won by an uncomfortable small margin. I'm so worried about all of the threats and the subsequent unrest that could come out of this situation. Now, the rest of it was, you have to watch the episode to understand what the rest of that sentence means. But this was a couple of months ago. It was warned. The signs were there. Everything pointed to this. So this was planned. Well planned. They had, if Bolsonaro didn't win, he was going to send in his minions just like Trump did on January 6th.
Yeah.
Only he did it on January 8th.
Yeah. And then I saw this picture, this series of this duel. Now, again, I can't attest to the authenticity of the picture on the right.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if this was an actual
when it was
photo.
taken. Yeah, is it an actual? Is it a doctored? Who knows?
Or is it
but
like this?
The striking similarities, right?
Striking similarities. So, one for the people that are watching, that are listening to podcast, it's a side by side of allegedly. Well, the first one we do know, January 6,
QAnon
2021,
shaman.
with QAnon shaman speaking into yelling into something that looks
It's a
like a.
bullhorn. It's a bullhorn.
It's
Yeah,
but it's a digital one, right?
No. It's just a handheld. If you look, he's got the curly cord that connects to the bullhorn in the lower section of the
Okay.
picture.
Yes. Okay. See. Yes. Sorry, I didn't see that down there.
They all have that. The other guy has it too. He just kept it on the bullhorn. If you see.
Yeah, yeah, okay, I see it. And then on the right, it's apparently January 8th, 2023. And same thing, sort of like a shaman man. He's wearing an indigenous
Horns.
headdress,
Yeah.
dressed in the green and yellow colors, which apparently were associated, even though it's the Brazilian flag colors, they were associated with Bolsonaro specifically during his tenure. Also speaking into a bullhorn. So it just goes to show that there are none of these are original ideas, right? They see it happen somewhere and then they basically copycat. So all these, again, alleged free thinkers basically committing political plagiarism.
Allegedly free thinkers.
Yes.
Alleged.
Alleged patriots.
Alleged.
Probably considers himself an alpha.
No doubt.
Probably considers himself an epidemiologist and constitutional scholar as well.
I did my research, found the information on the Facebook there, and now I knows what's that virus is about. That was a man-made thing in a lab, and this is an experimental jab, and they're all trying to kill us with the 5G carbon fiber graphene that they're injecting into our system to track us. No, man, we track you on your phone.
Yeah. No, there we go. I was actually just had to scroll down and find out, actually, that the photo of the Brazilian QAnon shaman, it was not from the rally.
Okay.
If you put this up, Mr. Grizzly, it's not from the rally by Bolsonaro support. It was from a rally by Bolsonaro supporters in September of 2021, not today.
Okay.
And you see
Still,
here like this, September 7th, 2021. But September 6th, January 6th, September 7th, 2021.
Oh, yeah. Same year, right? Just a few months apart. And wow,
Yeah.
Similarly dressed. Yeah.
So there you go.
This is where we are simpatico, Rian. The left needs to stop fighting amongst yourselves. It's getting ridiculous. The nitpicking in basically mini fascist groups. Because if you don't think the same, you're obviously a fascist. It's bad. It is bad. And the majority of people in this country are center left, maybe center right. But I have, as I've talked about many times, a lot of friends that are center right. They're progressive conservatives, and they hate the current Conservative Party because it does not represent any of the ideals that they glommed onto as younger men and women in the conservative movement. That they were progressives. What we have today is not progressive at all. And I did post a question the other day on Twitter. It's like, why do people align themselves with a particular political party? Because I do not understand it. As we've both talked about, we've voted for all major parties at least, well, in some cases more than once.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've voted Liberal, NDP, Green, and Conservative, progressive Conservative, in the past, in past elections, both federal and provincially, because I don't belong to a particular party. It happens to be, everybody's like, well, what about the platform? And I'm like, but the platform shifts a lot. And some members of a particular party may be more progressive on a certain issue than others are. And if that's who I'm voting for as my representative, my member of parliament, or provincial parliament for that matter, then that's who gets my vote. Doesn't have to be a particular party. Now, not saying that I haven't strategically voted in the past, because I did in the last provincial election, because I have a great MPP, but I did not want Andrea Horwath as the premier. Even though I hate Doug Ford. I hate the guy. He's a disgusting human being. All he cares about is money and enriching his wealthy donor friends. But I did not care for the way Andrea Horwath conducted herself in the debates. Every debate I've seen her in, I'm like, she's not doing she's not saying the things that I want to hear.
Right.
And let's leave her out from here on out because she's no longer there. And Merritt Stiles, the new leader of the provincial New Democratic Party, I think will make a wonderful leader, and I think someday a great premier.
Yep. Yep. I can see that. I can see that happening. So yeah, that's basically what we have for Brazil at the moment. We'll see how that follows out. But good that the forces were able to subdue that and clear everybody out in about 3 hours. And we'll see what happens from here. Fortunately, De Silva was not in town at the time, so and it was on a Sunday, which means that Congress was not sitting. So the lives of the people, of the elected representatives, were not at all in danger in this instance, as opposed to what happened in the United States. But surely we're going to be hearing about this for a little while yet, I have no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Closer to home, it seems that this is something for which I have very little tolerance, and it was we've talked about similar things before with regard to the federal NDP, where they were late on some work that they had to file back with Elections Canada. We talked about that on some flagship episodes quite a while ago. While here, according to iPolitics, over 24 Ontario PC MPPs, including 8 cabinet ministers, haven't filed campaign finance disclosures from last June's election over a month after the due date with Elections Ontario. Mm-hmm. Of the ministers, the 8 ministers, there are the Minister for Seniors and Accessibility, Raymond Cho, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, quelle surprise, Steve Clark, the Associate Minister of Transportation, Stan Cho, and probably most unforgivably, the Solicitor General, Michael Kersner. You would expect that the Solicitor General of the country, or of the province, I should say, would be the first in line to fully respect electoral law.
Well,
things that make you go, according to the site QP Briefing, they contacted the 8 cabinet ministers who reports are overdue, and all the 4 that were mentioned here, at least, each separately wrote. Apparently, from what I can gather from the text, was the same line. We are working diligently with Elections Ontario to file our campaign expense reports and expect to have all required documentation to them in short order. You're late. They're called deadlines for a reason. There's no reason to be working diligently with Elections Ontario to file your campaign expense reports. You don't have to work with Elections Ontario to file your campaign. You just file your campaign expense reports, and then the works with Elections Ontario. What?
The election was in June.
Yes.
June. It's January. I'm going to say that's a little bit on the late side for filing those things.
I would think so.
Like, come on, really? You couldn't have that done a couple of weeks after? By the end of the summer, at least, right?
You have teams for this, right?
Well, one would think. Maybe I'm
now,
wrong.
Of course, it's not only the people who are elected that have to file with Elections Ontario. It's all the candidates. And it's, not to put it all on the Conservatives, apparently this type of thing goes across party lines because broadening the question to look at all candidates, successful and unsuccessful, the Progressive Conservatives have the lowest reporting rate with 43 candidates yet to report. Unsurprisingly, that the party that's trying to piss all over the Constitution is not respecting electoral law when it comes to filing their... for people who are so focused on money, they're sure not good at providing receipts.
No kidding. Kidding.
The same. The Liberals have 25 candidates who have not successfully filed yet. The NDP have 26, and the Greens have 5. financial statements were due on December 2nd. The statements must be filed whether or not the candidate raised any money directly. Elections Ontario confirmed. And Robert McDermott, retired York University political science professor, says, "It's alarming, dispiriting, and disappointing that these rules are not being followed. They are there to disclose information that the Ontario Election Finances Act says that citizens should have about the candidates they elect, and the parties are not complying with it. They need to comply with it because it is a hugely important issue. There is no excuse for this." There's no excuse for not getting your paperwork filed with your electoral body on time, especially when it comes to money. Now, according to the same political science professor, Robert McDermott, of course, how convenient, there is no fine for filing statements late or not at all. So it's a law, it's a rule, but it has no teeth. Quote, "There's no administrative penalty in the Election Finances Act. There is a list of administrative penalties, but it doesn't cover filing." And we get back to a thing that I mention often, that it's a shame that our election laws do not immediately confer temporarily inactive status to elected representatives who do not follow electoral law. But then again, those laws are written by the elected, which is a blatant conflict of interest.
You think?
Politicians writing the laws and determining the penalties and sanctions which cover their own behavior or lack of good behavior. So, of course, when politicians write the elections law, there is no administrative penalty for not filing your paperwork. That's a law in name only. It's a law in name only. That law does not protect us. Doesn't protect the citizen, doesn't protect our right to know, doesn't protect our right to have this information, doesn't protect our right to know what our elected officials, how it is, what they've spent, if they've spent legally, if they won their seat through legitimate means or having committed a little bit of fraud. This law does not guarantee us our right to know.
No.
And as you keep on saying, we're the boss.
Yeah.
That law was not written for us.
Of course not. It was written to protect the lawbreakers. Who call themselves lawmakers.
Yeah, and clearly it's not just a conservative thing. They just do it most.
Yes, yeah. Oh,
but I mean,
it's been done by every party, right?
Yeah, every party. This is the type of stuff that sticks in my craw because it's like the broken window thing, right? When you're talking about city crime, right? If you see a lot of broken windows and whatnot like this, if you let that slide, then your neighborhood starts to look a little seedy. So people who are seedier think that they have a home here, and it attracts them. And who cares if you get the documents in on time? Yeah, who does?
Yeah, it's not.
Well, the Conservatives didn't do it. Nothing happened. So, yeah, we don't need to. We'll just do that whenever. And then it infects. And now all of a sudden you have a situation where all parties are doing it. Even the Greens have 5.
Well, speaking of letting the neighborhood slide, let me throw this on the screen. This is troublesome. The firm hired by OC Transpo to oversee the LRT return to service plan is STV. Former transit boss John Manconi works for STV. City hired STV to oversee return to service plan following September 2020 derailment, but didn't proceed because company involved in LRT planning. So what does that mean for those of you who don't live in the nation's capital of Ottawa, Canada? Our constant problems with our $3 billion light rail transit system. The man who oversaw it and rushed it to performance, get it up and running and make sure they used it well before it was fully tested. He stepped down recently. Now he works for the consulting company that is overseeing the problems with... Do you not see a huge conflict here? I built it. I broke it. I quit. Now I work for a company that's going to fix it. Pardon? Like, that's a major issue. Like, there's a little bit of I'll say double dipping, but it's not really double dipping. Truth be told, it's not. It isn't. Let's be honest. But it's rather suspect. Like there's an incredible amount of nepotism and I'm using nepotism incorrectly because there's no family involved, but
It's a little swampy.
it's swampy, it's dirty, it's greasy, it's disgusting. It's like, okay, dudes, I messed up. I'm terribly sorry. I'll fall on the sword for you. And takes 4 weeks off, and then comes back, and now he's working for the company that's supposed to fix the system that he built that rushed. It's just,
Yep.
I'm exasperated some days when I read stuff like that. You know, billions of dollars we spent on a system that it doesn't work most of the time. It breaks down constantly. We bought Citadelis trains from France, Alstom Citadelis trains, never tested in a Canadian environment. What happened last week on the 25th anniversary of the day that Ice Storm 98 started? We had an ice storm. And what happened? Well, the lines that, the electrical, because they're overhead electrical lines that run the train, because they're electric, they're not diesel, they collapsed. So the train stopped functioning because the ice tore them down because they didn't have a de-icing system built. In Canada's capital of Ottawa, that gets rather strange and inclement weather in the wintertime. How fitting that on the 25th anniversary, the day of the start of the ice storm, that we get another ice storm, and lo and behold, what happens? Our train system breaks down. And the guy who built it is now hired to fix it. Just seems off to me.
Yep.
Now, somebody might argue, okay, he was there for the building. He knows where the problems are. Yeah, of course he does. He let them go. He let them happen. He rushed it to judgment. Just rushed it to, I want to say market, but that's not the thing. He rushed the opening thereof. Put it into service before it was ready, before the testing was completed, knowing full well all the problems that existed with it. So, come on, man.
And that to me would be the point of hiring, right? Yeah, you had your expertise. Okay, granted, we'll give you that. What did you do with it?
You didn't build a functioning system.
So what makes me think that your values or your ethics about how you do your work have changed now that...
It's the old boys network taking care of the old boys once again. And I'm sick of it, man.
Yep. And as here we have a Kit mentioned as well. Kit Linda, just like Skippy, got a compliance agreement for breaking an election law twice rather than being prosecuted. Yep, because that was an option.
You're right, Linda. It's Trudeau's fault once again.
When we had the sinkhole in Ottawa at the corner of Sussex and Rideau when they were building it, somebody was actually saying, "Oh, we actually have a Trudeau."
Yeah, he personally deactivated the de-icing system so the lines would go down.
Damn you, Trudeau! Man. In Newfoundland and Labrador, here's some good news. Newfoundland and Labrador Justice Minister John Hogan announced that provincial court judges will receive training on how to avoid stereotypes when evaluating evidence in sexual assault cases. Mr. Hogan says, people are more aware of issues around sexual assault, things like consent, issues around trauma, issues around power dynamics in sexual assault situations. And as we talk about it in society and learn more and grow with these conversations, it is important that judges, when they interpret the law and apply the facts, need to be up to date as well. The chief judge of the provincial court is the one that's currently developing the training program, and it should be ready for delivery in the fall season. I like that.
Yeah.
Yep. It's piling on, I guess, to the work that Ronna Ambrose was doing. I'm not sure if that bill was strictly for federal court judges, but if it was, it's nice to see that it's going down to provincial court judges as well. This is something I would very much be okay with every province doing. So,
thank you, Ree. We really like that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well,
We're trying to do that. So yeah,
yes,
if you like, share, and subscribe, please
yes,
tell
yes.
your friends.
Kit Saucy said we need to figure out how to spread this podcast across Canada completely. Well, Kit, speaking of that, I'm going to make, since you've offered me the opportunity to make this wonderful, beautiful segue. It doesn't happen often for us, but it does happen from time to time that we make the charts. And Kits, I don't know again if it had something to do with the appearance on the Dean Bloodell show last week,
Doesn't
because
hurt.
it seems to happen. There seems to be we know correlation is not causation, but it seems to happen frequently enough. But if you will, Mr. Grizzly,
Sure thing.
there we
Oh,
are.
don't worry, PJ. We'll still focus on Ottawa a lot. He's
Yep.
saying you'll miss the Ottawa focus. It's like, no, I'm not going to. I mean, we won't let that up because I live here, right? So
Yeah,
we'll
and I
stick
lived there
with
for
that.
40 years. It's my it's my heart and my home.
Exactly right. So we will continue to talk about Ottawa matters and Ottawa things because, especially here in Ontario, if you don't live in Toronto, you don't exist, right? That's how most media sees it. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't call ourselves media, but we're definitely going to highlight the city of Ottawa and, for that matter, Western Quebec, because this is the area that I live in. So, all Elmer, Buckingham, it's all Gatineau now. We'll continue to highlight all of that because it's of importance to both of us, your lovely hosts here, and it's difficult sometimes to get news about this city out into a national discussion because we're not Toronto. We're only the
Mhm.
nation's capital, right? We're only the
Mhm.
nation's capital.
Yeah.
That's all.
But also, I specifically make a point, and I have from the beginning, like when we were doing our coast to coast to coast COVID update, whatnot, of including news from everywhere when I can. So I specifically look for news from the north from time to time. I specifically look for
Mm-hmm.
news from Indigenous communities. I specifically look for news from Manitoba and Prince Edward Island and Newfoundland and Labrador thing. Places that we don't speak about as much unless something absolutely horrible or fantastic happens, just because there's so much going on in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, right, in Calgary. So I am trying to keep it uh, somewhat national in that I don't want to be Toronto and Ottawa centric. But and of course, events of the year have kind of made us have an Ottawa focus. I mean, when you have a national pandemic and there's a federal response being coordinated out of Ottawa, you can be Ottawa focused. And then when people come to your town to decide that they're going to take it hostage, along with about 100,000 citizens. The focus obviously becomes on Ottawa. But I don't think, and then we had municipal elections, of course, in Ontario, which focused on Ottawa. So it just happened to be where the stories were over the
Yes.
past little bit, but we didn't set out to have a specific Ottawa focus. We were really,
No.
but I mean, just in terms of we wanted to show how the sausage is made, right? My intention was always to try and be as national as I could,
As we can.
and originally we were hoping, or so, we were thinking that maybe we would have correspondence that right here. Wonder if eventually you can have additional people contributing from other provinces. We were on the way to set up. We had somebody lined up from out east. Unfortunately, they came down with long COVID, and
Oh, is that why? Okay, I didn't know.
I've heard that. I mean, there was other stuff before. I'm guessing maybe life you know required
Life
more of
gets in
their
the way.
attention.
Well,
But
maybe we
yes.
could, if you can get in touch with her and have her send the mixer and microphone stuff along to Rhiannon, and maybe we could have Rhiannon as if you'd be interested, because she's in Nova Scotia. Saucy Sea Witch is in Nova Scotia. She'd be happy to be a correspondent from time to time. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, Rhiannon. I think you're no longer camera shy, so if you'd be willing to contribute from time to time, give us an East Coast update, we'd love it.
Yeah. So if you put that back up, Mr. Grizzly,
Sure thing.
this is the Apple charts for podcast. Listen to podcasts. Sorry, let's try that again. The Apple charts for Canadians who listen to podcasts. So the podcasts can come from all over the world. They don't have to be Canadian podcasts, but this is Canadian listenership. And a couple of days ago, we were at 194, and then we climbed up to 161. So that's up to you. That's they count from 250 and up. So that's thanks to you, Kits. And what I always find really interesting is that, like, for example, this is a podcast I listen to, Clean Up on Aisle 45.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's yeah, I consider them, they don't really know who we are, but I keep on saying our friends at the Daily Beans.
Okay, right.
They know who we are a little bit, but not really. Allison Gill, who's an amazing person from whom I've taken a lot of inspiration for this initiative. She has a podcast called The Daily Beans, and then Clean Up on Aisle 45, which happened. She started with Muller, She Wrote, in the United States when that happened. And then when that happened, it transferred to the Daily Beans. And then when Trump was out, they did Clean Up on Aisle 45. And now that he's got a special prosecutor, she's got one called Jack. And she's got her whole media network with a whole bunch of people on it as well. But yeah, while every episode of Clean Up on Aisle 45 makes the chart, not every episode or all of ours in circulation collectively, because it can be a specific episode or it could be just random, all True North Eager Beaver shows that you happen to be listening to on that time, make the chart. So we come on and off, they stay on. But every now and then, when we see it, it's like, look, we're not that far from the Breitbart News Daily Podcast.
We're getting
right?
there.
We're getting there. Yeah. We're getting there. I guess.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yep. Keep listening and whatnot. And, as Allison Gill says on her show, like this, the more we can take some of these right-wing shows down a peg by putting ours up higher on the charts, the better it is for all of us. The better is for namely us, you and me, but the better it is for it's a little self-serving. Self-serving.
BBS posed the question, Muller, She Wrote, can you get her on? I'm like,
I have asked her so many times. I put out the invitation. She's really, really
super busy.
Well, she produces a lot of content, all, right? She has a Daily Beans show like this, and she produces the other 3 shows. And somewhere in there, she's got to be reading all those court documents and filings and news, in order. Now, I know that she now has a bit of a staff, and she might have some people that contribute and do some pre-research for her now and stuff. But yeah, and she's getting more popular as well. I mean, she's recently been receiving invitations to the White House every now and then for certain things, and it's been on NBC News a couple of times. But, as we said, like, we had a 5-year project. She's at about 5 years now in her project. Yeah, and this is where she's at. So
we're only 2 years old, and our 3rd season, like, we're in year 3, but season 3 doesn't technically start until April when we began this whole endeavor.
Our 3rd year, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, our specific 3rd year. So I've just been starting the seasons with the beginning of the year.
Yes, yeah.
Because it makes it easier to count, and I don't have to remember what our birth date is.
No, no argument. I agree with you. I think that's a good idea. But technically speaking, we're only 2 years old.
Yeah, not even yet.
Not even. Well, two.
In April.
No, April would be 3, would it not?
No, because we haven't finished our 2nd full year yet.
Oh, right. Yeah. So then,
we're not even like a full year on this network yet.
Oh, on this network? Well, we'd been,
and we've only done, we didn't do a full year before we got, from April to April, like this, when we had our official launch, it was about a full year. But the thing was in February, and we started talking about this in March and whatnot. So, right. The times where we officially went live, and then times where our podcast started being uploaded to the network. Before we made our first appearance on Dean's show to kick everything off. There was a little bit of an overlap there, but no, we haven't officially celebrated our 2nd birthday yet. So there you go. Our shows have overlapped over 3 calendar years, but we haven't started our 3rd calendar year of shows yet.
There you go.
3rd calendar year. Sorry, 3rd since our inception. 3rd year. As 2-year-olds or 3rd season. So thank you so much, Kits, for putting us on the charts. We appreciate that. Let's see. I think we have to wrap up soon, don't we?
Yeah, I have a meeting in like 10 minutes, so I gotta go.
Okay. Let's just see if there was anything specific here in my notes that I highlighted that I wanted to say today. Yes. If you live in Quebec, Health Minister Christian Dubé has extended COVID bonus incentives for health professionals beyond December 31st to retain health sector staff. Among them, double pay for overtime has been maintained. Also, if you live in the province of Quebec, the pediatric emergency line 811 is now open. So if you have some issues with your children due to COVID, RSV, that type of thing, or any other reason, there's like I said, 811 is the dial number that you dial, and you can get help from pediatric specialists. There have been 5 specialized nurse practitioner clinics opened in the province. One of them is at the Hôpital Notre-Dame de Montréal, and the other one is at the Hôpital de Chicoutimi. In French, they're called Clinique IPS, if you speak French. 2 were promised originally, but they have 5. And according to December 21st data, according to the Index Santé, the occupancy rate in ERs in the province of Quebec was 127% at the time. Over there. The Public Health Agency of Canada is now saying that this year's respiratory season appears to be ebbing for now when it comes to the flu. Dr. Alison McGreer, a clinical scientist from Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto, is quoted as saying, "Flu season is not quite over, but it's declining quickly now." So basically, if you look at it as a mountain, we're on the other side of the mountain. We still have a while to go, according to Dr. Isaac Bogosh, sorry. But we're on the downhill. The latest federal numbers show that flu activity has been dropping steadily since a late November peak. By the last week of December, fewer than 1 in 10 tests came back positive, but there have been more than 1,500 pediatric hospitalizations to date for the flu. The medical director of infection prevention and control at the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario in Ottawa said it had about 2 times the number compared to previous years of patients admitted with lab-confirmed respiratory viral infections, namely RSV and influenza. So COVID seems to be stable but increasing with XBB. RSV seems to be at normal rates currently that it would be at this time of the year. And flu, where we had an early start, we've had an early peak, seems to be coming down a little earlier than normal. But full respiratory virus season continues until sometime in April, sometimes mid-May. So please have exercised some caution, particularly with the rise with XBB. The thing with XBB, according to Dr. Bonnie Henry and also Isaac Bogosh, the reason for which it's so transmissible is that while the earlier versions, earlier variants needed to get deep down into the lungs, before they could start doing some damage. These ones, XBB just needs to stay in the throat area and in your airwaves before it starts. And XBB is basically a combination of 2 different Omicron subvariants that have put together. And its main characteristics is that the way that Dr. Bogosh describes it is that it snuggles in a little more tightly to the receptors, and it is better at evading some of our vaccines and our therapies. Now, if you've had the initial vaccines with the initial boosters, which were smaller doses of the initial vaccines, you do have some protection. But the combination one, the bivalent booster that just came out this year, is one that's specifically designed for Omicron. And since XBB is a merge of 2 different Omicron variants, this is the one that you should be taking if you haven't had it yet. And Canadians are listening, because on our last show we mentioned that there was an average about 9,400 people per day that were getting shots. Over the last 2 days, it's been over 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so people are definitely hearing the message. There you go. All right, since you have to make a hard exit, let's do that. Yep. we'll save those 2 other stories that I had highlighted
Yeah,
for
I've
Wednesday.
got other things I wanted to add in, but I just literally don't have the time. I have a meeting in 5 minutes that I have to be a part of. So,
All right.
duty
So
calls. I got to go
no,
pay some
absolutely.
bills.
Hey, no, absolutely. I'll just put those stuff in the flagship that we're going to do. So, Kits, this is the end of our. I'm sorry, I'm just looking for my
Notes, closing notes.
the closing notes. Yes, because I didn't see your 10-minute warning. Well, Kits, that's the end of this episode of Just a Nibble, the Not Quite Daily Beaver podcast. We hope you love listening to this because we love making this for you. Because democracy is something you do, please roll up your sleeves and make a blood donation to Canadian Blood Services or HEMA Quebec because their supplies are low at the moment. And I just saw somebody saying, Kit Saucy said, also share hashtag democracy is something you do on your posts about politics or community
I
involvement. It's
flashed
a
it up
motto
on the
that needs
screen.
to be spread. Yes, and we're going to try and also try to get some of our T-shirts fixed to add them because we had them on the Halloween shirt, but they're not on the other ones. And try to see if we can maybe get it put on the back side of it.
Send me a note later today, and I'll reach out to our marketing guy and see about getting that along with some coffee cups.
Yeah. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Dean Blundell Network, as well as anywhere you get all your podcasts featuring a grizzly bear and a beaver. Please share the podcast. Please do share, right? When you like them on Twitter, that's a great thing. But when you retweet them, that helps us get the word out. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter at True Eager, and our email is truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And we also received, that's the thing I mentioned, we received some mail about what we had to say about transgender surgeries that we have not read on this show, but we have it and we will get the information out. So the person who sent that to us, don't worry about it. We haven't forgotten. You can subscribe via Podpage, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver. That's with a hyphen between each one of those words. If you really, really like this podcast and wish to encourage us to do more, we work for tips. So please send us a little love in the form of a cup of coffee for Mr. Grizzly here or a cup of hot chocolate for me. You can do that via our coffee page, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. That's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters. And finally, if you'd rather get something for your money, we've got you covered, literally, with Eager Beaver t-shirts and Mr. Grizzly Civic tees. We have designs, 6 to choose from small to 3XL. Being informed has never been more fashion. Go to deanblundell.square.site/s/shop to get yourself some fabulous today. And kits are requesting hats and toques or beanies, depending on how you feel. There's and of course the request for coffee cups and mugs. We're working on that, definitely. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it can be a tough world out there, so be kind to and gentle with yourself. And if you're looking at the blackboard behind me, there's also a message for you there. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
Be kind to one another today. It's going to be a rough couple
Your sound is gone, sir.
I think that's just on you.
Your sound is gone. I think you muted yourself. Nope.
It's you. I'm fine. Your sound is gone, not mine.
All right. Well, I didn't hear that, but I'm sure that it's something very, very deep and meaningful. Mr. Grizzly, roll the credits.
The True North Eager Beaver podcast is an Eager Beaver Mr. Grizzly collaboration. Research, story, and guest curation and copy written by the Eager Beaver. Recording, production, editing, and additional research by Mr. Grizzly. Music courtesy of Ben Sound Royalty Free Music. Once again, thank you to our founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss Fee Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing and CanadianTarot.com. And thank you to Pete Jarvis for our artwork. We love it. Kits, we'll talk to you real soon. Bye.
Take care. See you.
Bye, y'all.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss Fee Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters.
CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.